Hey, Lions Nation! We're back with another exclusive video bringing you all the latest news about our beloved Detroit Lions. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss anything about the team. Now, let's get into the news. The locker room of the Detroit Lions, once a sanctuary of unyielding brotherhood and grit, has officially transformed into a theater of psychological warfare, culminating in a physical and verbal altercation so violent that it forced Dan Campbell to exercise the ultimate, scorched earth option, the immediate, unconditional release of a foundational starter whose name was once synonymous with the team's resurgence. The air in the facility is no longer thick with the scent of competition, but with the suffocating stench of an empire in mid-collapse, as the pressure of the Patrick certain to trade and the title or death ultimatum from ownership finally caused the internal structural integrity of the roster to snap like a dry bone. This wasn't just a disagreement over a play call or a missed assignment, it was a fundamental, visceral rejection of the new, cold-blooded direction of the franchise. A confrontation that saw a veteran leader standing face-to-face with Campbell, screaming truths that the organization has tried to bury under layers of corporate PR and championship-starved desperation. When Campbell roared, "He's out of here," it wasn't just a personnel move, it was an act of ritualistic sacrifice, an attempt to cut out a cancer that was actually just the last remaining piece of the team's original soul refusing to be commodified by the new, ruthless regime. The fallout from this locker room explosion is catastrophic, as the player in question wasn't just a starter, he was the emotional glue, the man who held the younger players accountable when the lights were off, and his unceremonious dumping into the street serves as a chilling warning to every other man on the payroll in this new, dark era of Lions football. Loyalty is a liability and your past sacrifices mean nothing if you dare to question the price of the crown. The silence that followed the player's removal was not one of respect, but of pure, unadulterated terror, as the remaining athletes realized that the family Campbell once promised was a lie, replaced by a cold, transactional machine that will devour its own children to maintain the illusion of control. This internal bloodletting has left a gaping wound in the depth chart that no amount of mid-season scouting or desperate free agent signings can hope to patch, especially as the league looks on in horror at a franchise that has moved from the NFL's darling to its most volatile, self-destructive experiment. The sheer weight of the draft capital lost in the certain trade means there is no safety net, no young talent waiting in the wings to step into the void left by the purged veteran, leaving the defense and the team's morale exposed and bleeding in the middle of a championship hunt that now feels more like a death march toward an inevitable, crushing disappointment. Before we move on, take a second to drop a like and subscribe. That way, you'll stay up to date with every exclusive Lions update, and you'll even have a chance to win an official Detroit Lions jersey. Let's keep going. The psychological scars of this public execution will linger far longer than any single season, as the remaining players must now navigate a facility where the walls have ears, and the head coach has traded his player-first mantra for the cold, unblinking eyes of a man who has lost his own grip on the culture he built by cutting a starter of this caliber in the wake of a locker room brawl. Campbell has effectively declared war on his own locker room, creating a them versus him dynamic that historically precedes the total, irrevocable disintegration of a professional sports franchise. The irony is bitter and suffocating. The very grit that Campbell championed is what led to this confrontation. As a player with too much pride and too much investment in the old ways refused to bow to the new, corporate mandates and was destroyed for the very trait that once made him a hero in Detroit. Now, the locker room is a collection of silos. Men playing for their own stats and their own survival rather than for the man at the podium or the logo on the helmet, knowing full well that they are all just one bad game or one honest conversation away from being the next sacrifice on the altar of Sheila Ford Hamp's immediate title demand. The dark energy of this move radiates outward, infecting the coaching staff and the front office, as everyone begins to look over their shoulder, wondering who will be blamed when the inevitable cracks on the field begin to mirror the shattered spirit of the locker room. This isn't just a story about a fight, it's a story about the death of a dream. The moment the Detroit Lions stopped being a story of hope and started being a cautionary tale about the dangers of chasing a legacy at the expense of one's own humanity. The "he's out of here" heard around the world wasn't a show of strength. It was a confession of weakness. The sound of a coach who has lost the ability to lead through inspiration, and has resorted to leading through fear, a strategy that never results in a Lombardi trophy, only in a more expensive, more high-profile failure. As the Lions prepare for their next game, they do so not as a team, but as a group of survivors, haunted by the ghost of their discarded brother and the terrifying realization that in the dark world of elite professional football, the only thing more dangerous than losing is the price you have to pay. To keep pretending you're winning, the trade for certain was the catalyst. The owner's ultimatum was the fuse, and this locker room explosion was the blast that finally leveled the house that Campbell built, leaving nothing but the cold, hard steel of a championship or bust mandate that now feels increasingly like a bust of historic proportions. We bring you the latest Lions news every single day, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing, and of course, drop a comment below with your thoughts on today's news. Your voice makes a difference for Lions Nation. See you in the next video.